Hello. We'll just give everybody some time to get on here before we start. Hi, everybody. My name is Jillian Price, and I'm the Chief Audiologist with Hearing Life Canada. And it is session number 2. And we're going to cover some good stuff today. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and we'll just give another minute for people to get settled. I'll just introduce myself again. If you're new to the Facebook Live Hearing Live sessions, I'll just let you know who I am. I'm Jillian Price. And last week I did a session, and I am an audiologist. I have been for 16 years. And last week what we covered was some pretty good stuff. We covered care and maintenance of your hearing aid. If you missed it, you can still see it. We actually have it posted on our Facebook page, and you can go ahead and watch that. We went over how to clean your hearing aid, where the microphones are, where the speaker is, how to change a wax guard, all the stuff that you need to know to keep your hearing aids working very well, how to store them at night. So go ahead and watch that if you do need a refresher or if you just missed it. This week we have a new topic. It's going to be on troubleshooting. So we know that you're out there, and although we wish that we could see you face to face, we can't right now. So we're trying other ways to get this information out to you, and this is one of them. So the topics that I choose are based on the calls that are coming in or the inquiries that we're getting. So our team at our call center is trying their best to answer these questions for you. So we figure if other people have these questions and they're calling in, it's probably safe to say that there's more of you out there. So we're trying to reach you in other ways, and this is just one way we can do that. I have a few housekeeping things to go over first. Since last week was our first session, there were a few hiccups. We had some comments that the audio dropped off a few times and the image was blurry at times. And we understand that's going to happen with internet connections. But if you did watch last week, you'll notice that my background is different this week. So we're trying it from a different location, and hopefully the connection will be better. And that won't happen this time. But please bear with me if it does happen. There's only so much we can do. We're trying our best, but I'm going to try to speak a little bit slower and try not to move so much, because I guess hand movements will make things blurry. So although I do have to show you things, I'm going to try not to move around as much, and hopefully that'll be better. The other thing that came up from last week, which we had some comments, and I do appreciate your comments, so please keep sending them. We are reading them all, was that somebody wondered why there was no closed captioning. We are fully aware that the people that are interested in this type of session are people who have hearing loss, and we would love to be able to offer closed captioning, but Facebook Live does not offer it. So I can't at the time that I'm doing this, but when we upload the video after the fact, we can then add it. So we will add it. So if you are somebody who needs closed captioning on, it will be available, and we will do that for you. So let's just, if it's too difficult for you right now, then maybe you want to hang on and watch it when closed captioning is added to the video. I think that's all the housekeeping I have. So we will get started. So again, we have the topic for today being troubleshooting. And there are some common things that can happen when you wear a hearing aid. And the good news is some of the things are very easy to fix, and you can do it at home. So if we can save you a trip to the clinic, that's great, even in non-COVID times. So, you know, we aren't open right now, that is true, but we can probably save you a trip to the clinic even when we are open. And we know that your time is valuable, and we know that, you know, if we can save you time, then that's something that's good. So I'm trying to give you the information today that you can use anytime, even when life goes back to normal. So there's 4 that we're going to cover today. They're pretty common, and hopefully they will help. My goal is that somebody right now is having this problem. They're going to watch this and we're going to fix the problem and everything will be good to go. So I hope I help a few of you today. So before we get started on the first problem, I just wanted to show you this here, because if you did actually purchase hearing aids from Hearing Life, you would have received this booklet, and there's a ton of really good information in it, but I wanted to highlight this page. That page says, I know you probably can't see it, but it says troubleshooting, and there's a whole chart that goes over the things I'm going to talk about today, and you can follow along, but you can also use it as a resource when we're done. So I'm going to actually demonstrate the things that are in this book and show you how to do them, but they're in the book and you can refer to them at a later date. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, the first thing we're going to go over is something called feedback. So I don't know if you know what feedback is. If you wear hearing aids, you probably have experienced feedback before. If you don't wear hearing aids, then maybe you don't know what it is. So I'll explain it in a way that, in a situation that we've all experienced. If you've been to a wedding or an event where you have somebody who's using a microphone and they get too close to the speaker, you get this nice high-pitched squeal. And, it's pretty deafening, and, you might have to put your fingers in your ears until it stops. It's pretty annoying. And really the way you eliminate feedback is the person just needs to increase the distance between them and the speaker. So if you just move away, then it's good. Well, with hearing aids, you can't really do that, because the speaker if you remember from last week, the speaker and the speaker and the microphone are really close together because of the way that a hearing aid is designed. It has to go in your ear. There's not a lot of distance between the two, and we really can't increase that distance. So there's no way to fix feedback or prevent it from happening by doing what people normally do, which is just walk away. So manufacturers for decades now have tried to solve this problem. How do we stop feedback from happening? So they've had to artificially cancel feedback. And they can do that because hearing aids are an electronic device, they're digital, and so we can do that with algorithms now. So that's great. A lot of hearing aids don't whistle anymore, they don't feedback, but there still are a lot out there that do. And there are some reasons why a hearing aid will do that, and I'm going to go over it with you, and I'm going to hopefully give you some solutions to how to stop it. So I'm going to try to make this hearing aid that I have here whistle. I'm going to try to force it to. I'm trying to intentionally make it whistle. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Maybe you can. Just wait for the hearing aid. It boots up, and I'll show you in a sec. It's not very loud, but it is there. Just sounds like a high-pitched whistle. And you don't want that happening when the hearing aid is in your ear. And if it is put in the ear properly, it really shouldn't do that. But if it is, there's some reasons why. The first reason would be you don't have it positioned in the ear properly. So a hearing aid does need to be positioned perfectly in order for it to perform optimally. So if you don't have your hearing aid in properly, then chances are you're going to get some whistling. So a hearing aid can be tricky to learn how to get that in your ear. It really can. But once you've got it, then it's pretty easy and you don't even think about it. It just pops right in. So I thought I would try to show you, and I'll move this up so that you can see it. Just maybe demonstrate how to put a hearing aid in your ear if it's something that you're having a problem with. So this is the custom that I showed you last week. The entire thing goes into the ear, and it's all housed in one acrylic shell. So the only trick is that this little guy is not built for my ear, so it won't fit in my ear. It's just a demo model. And I do have something very similar that is built for my ear, and I'm going to show you with that. So this thing right here is what I use in the clinic when I'm helping people. I attach this it's built for my ear, and it obviously looks very similar. So that's what I'm going to use to show you. I'm just going to remove the tube so that you can see. Okay, there are many ways to hold a hearing aid, but again, there's only one right way if you want it to go inside the ear. But you want to use your thumb and first finger, and you want to hold it like so. And the part where the sound is coming out, if you remember last week, I was talking about there's two holes. There's one hole where the sound comes out. There's another hole where there's ventilation. That part there, you want it to be closest to your thumb, and you want it to be facing the side of your face because it's actually going to go inside the ear canal. This would be upside down. This would be backwards. There are many ways you can actually hold the hearing aid in your ear, but only one way for it to successfully go into the ear canal. So the reason why it's blue is for left ear and red is for right ear. So in all things hearing aids, if you see something that's blue, it's meant for the left side. If you see something that's red, it's meant for the right side. So they made this left and they made the color blue so that I would not forget which ear it goes in. So I'm going to show you another little trick is because our ear canal is actually not completely straight, it actually is angled forward. If you just try to put this in your ear like, then it's kind of difficult and it might actually be a little bit painful if you're not getting the angle right. So what I do is I just kind of tilt it forward, and I know I tilt it. So I'll just try and show you. So I'm going to go tilt it forward and put that piece in my ear, and then I'm going to rock it back, and it should just pop into place like so. And to get it out, I'm just going to get my finger in there and there. So of course, it's much easier to show you that if I was there with you, but I just wanted to let you know that getting a hearing aid in properly is really important. It has to be flush. No pieces can really be sticking out of the ear. It needs to feel comfortable because if a hearing aid is in properly, it should be comfortable. And holding the hearing aid properly is your key to getting that hearing aid in the right spot. So if you're pretty confident that you've got the hearing aid in properly, and I would actually get some family members to have a look and see what they think, if they think it looks pretty good, because sometimes it's really hard to see your own ear, but it's helpful if they can have a look for you. But if you're pretty confident that it's in the ear properly, then we'll move on to another reason why it could be, and that is that it's not fitting your ear properly. So it's not that you don't have it in the ear properly, it's just not fitting. And there's a couple of reasons why that can happen. If you have lost weight or gained weight significantly, that changes the shape of your ear. So it could have fit really nice at one point and now it doesn't fit as well as it should. So if that is someone, if you are in that situation, then you may want to have that looked at once we are open to see if the fit of your hearing aid is still good. You want it to be snug, tight, not painful, but you certainly don't want it to be loose because that will cause feedback. The other thing for people who have this style is the dome, the little guy here. It might not be the right size. And so that happens all the time. It may just need to be a little bit larger. And so last week I showed you how to take this dome off and change it. And if you have a package of domes that you can look at, then they look sort of like this. They can be, it can look different than this, but there should be, the size should be written on the package itself. It might say 6, 8, 10, 5, 3. It could be any number. That indicates the diameter of the dome. And you may just need to move up 1. So if you don't have a package and you cannot look and reference the size, you may be able to find another way to measure it. If you have if you pull out your user manual, find your user manual in that junk drawer and see if there is a page that goes over domes like this manual does. It gives you all the sizes that are available for your hearing aid. And it also gives you a measuring tool, which is really handy at the bottom where my finger is. So you can just put the dome on the circles, figure out which one yours is, and then just go up 1 size. Although our doors are not open, we are absolutely helping people with getting supplies. So below there in the comment section, you should see, or there should be available to you, websites. We have a dedicated website just for people who need supplies. They need to order batteries, or they need to order wax guards, or they need to order domes. So you can get those if you need them, if you're having an issue with whistling. So that's another trick. Another reason why you might be having whistling is wax. So, that lovely thing, wax in your ear. Totally normal. Everyone should have some wax. But if the wax is getting in the way of where the hearing aid is supposed to go, so if you think of like this is wax, this is the hearing aid, and it just basically rubs up against that piece of wax, then it's just going to create feedback. And unless you remove the wax, there's really not a whole lot you can do. So right now, not as easy to get your wax removed because physicians are really just focusing on urgent care. And so you may not be able to actually get in and see somebody, but you may be able to go to the pharmacy and get something like this. This is a wax removal system. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to just flush out your ear, and you're going to use some drops to soften the wax. So that might be something that you want to look into if you suspect that you have wax buildup in your ears. People who have quite a bit of wax in their ears often feel kind of plugged up, so they know that they have some wax in there because they can sort of feel that it feels plugged to them. So that's another possible reason why you're getting feedback. And then lastly, which we may not be able to help you with, but there could actually be something wrong with your hearing aid, and specifically with the shell itself. So if there's like a fracture in the acrylic shell, it just looks like a hairline fracture. It's like like a little line basically that goes down. If it's been cracked, you've dropped it and you've cracked the shell, you could be getting feedback. If you have this type of mold, so if you wear a behind the ear and you have this type of mold, you could have a crack in this as well. Although we can't fix that for you right now because it would require us to remake your hearing aid, which is what we would do, you may have a quick fix solution, and we have done this in a pinch, which is if you see the crack, you can use clear nail polish and just coat it. You just want to provide a seal. It's temporary. Your hearing aid's going to have to be remade anyways. You're not going to hurt it. You just have to be careful. But that is sort of like if your last resort, if you want to try to patch up a crack, you can do that. We're in some desperate times right now, so pull out your nail polish. Okay, so those are the reasons why you would get whistling. So let's move on to, you have absolutely no sound. So you try to put your hearing aid on and you got nothing. So what do you do then? Well, the quickest and most logical reason why your hearing aid is dead is that the battery is dead. These are batteries for hearing aids. They're very tiny and they come in different sizes. So the size that you need is dependent on the type of hearing aids you have. But these batteries don't last very long. Some hearing aid batteries, you only get a couple days out of them. Others, you might get a week out of them. And it does depend how long you wear your hearing aid, and it depends on how much power and you need out of that hearing aid, and also what you do in the day. So if you are somebody who hooks up your hearing aids to Bluetooth and uses them wirelessly, you listen to music, you watch TV, you use your cell phone, you stream your calls, that really drains battery. So you might not get as much battery life. So even if like you've changed the battery and you think it should not be dead, it might be. And so I would always recommend a dead hearing aid, change the battery. Sometimes you get a bad batch, that happens. So you try one battery, it's dead, try another one. That's definitely the first thing you want to do if you have a dead hearing aid. The second thing you want to do, you've checked the batteries, you know it's not the battery, you've gone through a pack of batteries. The second thing you want to do is you want to make sure that there's no blockages in the microphones or speakers of your hearing aid. So again, last week we spent the whole time going over how important it is to clean your hearing aids, and that's why, because it can really affect the sound. It can sound like the hearing aid is dead when it's not, if you have wax or debris. So if you need help on how to clean your hearing aid, please go back and watch the first session. And if not, just letting you know that that is something you want to do if you have no sound. You want to change the wax guard. You want to clean the microphones. So for this style, you want to brush off, if we remember, brush off the back where the microphones are located. We want to change the dome maybe, replace the wax guard. We want to do all the things that we can do to make sure that there's no debris or wax buildup. And hopefully one of those two things will fix the problem and you'll have a working hearing aid. If not, then it may be some things that, that we can't fix right on the spot, but they're good to know. So third would be wax again. So if you do have wax built up in your ear, you could possibly get no sound again. The hearing aid is just going to basically sit right up against that wax and you get no sound. So you might want to look into trying to flush out your ear. The last sort of resort is if all that stuff doesn't work, is that there's something actually wrong with your hearing aid and it does need to be serviced. So it could be something with the internal components and the circuitry, and that's something that you can't fix at home. So that would be sort of the last case scenario if all else does not fix the problem of no sound. Okay, so the third thing we're going to cover is what if your hearing aid is intermittent? So that just means, like, what if it's cutting in and out? So the sound is there and then it's not, or the sound is loud and then it goes low and it's just not consistent. What does that mean? Well, the first thing that it could be is just a poor battery connection. So I didn't show you this last time, but it's probably good to do every once in a while, and that is to clean the battery door, especially if you can physically see corrosion. So rust in your battery door is possible because, again, last week we talked about how moisture really builds up in hearing aids, and that is not good for an electronic device. It's really not good for batteries. And so in the door itself, I've just opened it. It's this part right here. You might see like an orangey buildup, and that would be rust or corrosion. So you want to clean that out so that the contacts it's making contact when you close the battery door and you're getting full power. So what you want to do, pretty easy, you can do this at home, is you're just going to use some alcohol, and you're going to dip your alcohol in, just with a Q-tip, cotton swab. You're just going to dip this in. It doesn't need to be soaked. It's just damp, like just get it damp. And then you're going to clean in here. So you're just going to clean it out like so until it's all gone. And the most important part of this is that you have to let it dry. So you have to keep the battery door wide open and leave it to air dry. And please make sure that it's completely dry before you put the battery back in, or you're just going to start the cycle all over again. So once you're pretty sure that it's completely dry, then you can insert your battery back and see if that fixes the problem for intermittency. Another common reason why your hearing aid sounds like it's cutting in and out for those who wear hearing aids with ear molds, with the tubing. So I'm just going to separate it so it's easier for you to see. So this is an ear mold that was attached to a hearing aid. This is custom built for somebody's ear, and it goes into the ear much like the custom ones. It pretty much looks exactly the same, but it has no electronic components. So it would go into the ear, but if there's something wrong with this part, the tube, that will cause the hearing aid to cut in and out. So if it is bent or kinked, or you have debris in the tube, then it will cause that problem. So it's really important to make sure that this is clean. And I showed you guys last time with the blue bulb, I showed you how to clean it. So if you remember, I showed you to just basically blow all the debris out. This is an ear mold blower. And that will fix that problem. If your tubing is twisted or if it is kinked, then you're just going to try to do your best to straighten it out and try to remove the kinks. So that is how you fix that problem. You may also have moisture buildup. So if you have moisture built up in the hearing aid itself, that will cause it to cut in and out. And that was when we were talking about this little guy. So this is a drying cup I showed you last time, where you put your hearing aids at night. And it's pretty simple. You're just going to, we recommend every night you just put them on top. You're going to open the battery door. I'm going to do that. And then you're just going to lay the hearing aid in the cup like so. You can put both in there at the same time. And then you close it up tightly, and that will keep it nice and dry and remove all the moisture, and they're ready to go for the next day. But if you suspect that your hearing aid really got hot, it's a nice hot day, or you accidentally got the hearing aid wet, or you've just been outside a lot, you may need to do this, during the day as well. So if you suspect that it might be moisture buildup, then I would put it in the drying cup and I would leave it there for a few hours and see if the sound quality changes once you take it out. If you do not have a drying cup at home, again, in these times we have to use what we have to get us through, a bowl of rice also does the same thing. So it's going to remove excess moisture. So you can put your hearing aids in a bowl of rice, and hopefully, if the moisture was an issue, that will fix the problem. If you have a drying cup, great. Rice if you don't. So that is fixing intermittent problems. If all of that does not fix your problem, then again, we're down to there might be something internally wrong with the hearing aid, and then it has to be serviced. Which, if that is the case, you can still contact us. We are still trying our very best to service all of our clients and get people what they need at this time. So I still would say to give us a call and let us know, or to reach out via the customer service telesupport, and we may be able to help you. The final issue that might happen to you is, what if your hearing aid is beeping and you have no idea why? So a hearing aid does beep for reasons. Most hearing aids these days will beep if the battery is low. And that's actually great, because we want our hearing aids to tell us if the battery is low, so that we don't have to keep track of it, because one battery might last you a couple days, and then depending on what you've done, maybe the next battery you put in is not going to last that much. So then what are you going to do? Always keep track of that? Who has time for that? So the hearing aid's just going to tell you when to change the battery, which is great. But it does that by doing a series of beeps. So you'll get beep, 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 and then it pauses for a bit, and then it'll come back again, beep, 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 and then pauses for a bit. So if you are hearing this sort of intermittent beeps coming from your hearing aid, it's probably that you just need to change your battery. So go ahead and change your battery and see if that fixes the problem. If it doesn't fix the problem, then it may be that you're accidentally hitting the button. So hearing aids have buttons on them, and not all, I shouldn't say, but a lot of hearing aids have what we call a push button. So for this one here, it's this little button down here. I'll get closer. So that push button allows you to change programs. Sometimes the button on your hearing aid allows you to change volume, so you can increase and decrease the volume, or you can go through different listening programs. So if that was activated in your hearing aid, you may be accidentally pushing the button. And if you do that, you're going to hear a series of beeps. So I would also just check to see, are you accidentally doing that? Are you accidentally pushing the button? That could be another reason. So that is everything for if your hearing aid is beeping. If all else fails in that respect, then we pretty much always resort back to the worst case scenario is something is internally wrong with the hearing aid, and that it does need to be serviced. But hopefully these tricks will help for some of the issues and will get your hearing aids working in no time. So that's it for me today. I am going to just open it up to questions or comments and see if anybody has anything for me today. If not, that's good. And you can always post after the fact and leave your comments, and somebody will get back to you. So just so you know, we read all of our comments and we try to get back to every single person and get them the information that they need. Just as long as you are patient with us, because just bearing in mind that we do have much higher volumes right now of inquiries. We have, lots of calls coming in and lots of people visiting our websites and asking us questions. And so you may have to, the response might be a little more delayed than normal. And we hope that you can have some patience with us in that. Okay, so somebody says, how do I know if my hearing aids have become old and I need to change my hearing aids? That's a great question. So the typical life of a hearing aid is anywhere between 3 and 5 years. There are lots of people who have hearing aids for longer than that, so please understand that's just a range. And some people like to change their hearing aids every 3 years because they want the most up-to-date technology. This is a personal decision for everybody, but I will let you know that technology is constantly changing with hearing aids. So if you are someone who wants to have the most up-to-date technology, you will be replacing your hearing aids quite often. But in terms of wear and tear on a hearing aid, somewhere between 3 and 5 years is a good timeline for replacing hearing aids. They do take a lot of abuse. They are, housed in an ear canal where electronics really should not be because of the temperature and the moisture. And they're so tiny, that things do happen and there's wear and tear, and so they really should be replaced on a regular basis. Okay, let's see. Someone's asking. Okay, someone says, I have mini-fit domes. Last night I had a bad earache. Could the hearing aid be going in too deep? I've only had these a few weeks. Okay, that's a great question as well. So the domes, I have lost my hearing aid to show you. Where did you go? Oh, ha, it's in here. Found you. Okay, so what she's talking about is this type. And she's talking about this little guy here. I'll take it off. She's talking about mini fit dome, this little piece here, this little tiny plastic. That would be a hearing aid that is designed with this style. So there's a couple things with her question. It is possible. It's not possible that it's fitting too deep, because this really doesn't go deep into the ear canal. It is possible that it's hitting up against the side of your canal wall, and that's uncomfortable. So it is possible that the angle of this is not proper. It could be that the wire is too long and it needs to be shorter. It could be that just the angle is not the angle of your ear canal, and so it needs to be molded or shaped differently. And we do that in the clinic often, because if you heat up this wire, you can actually mold it and shape it however you want. So we just use a hair dryer, we just warm it up a little bit, and then we can basically change the shape of this wiring however we want to, and we can customize it to the angle of our client's ear. So it may be that it just needs to be sort of reworked and reshaped. The other thing I want to ensure is that the dome has not come off in your ear, which if the dome was not put on properly in the beginning, they can separate and this can get stuck in your ear canal. But you would know that because when you take this out of your ear, it wouldn't have a dome on it anymore. So that came to my head. I hope that's not the case. But if you've lost a dome or you've taken this hearing aid out and the dome is not attached anymore, you are going to want to see your physician to make sure that that dome is not lodged in the ear canal. It's quite painful when it happens, and you would know. So I would say if that earache does not go away, and it seems to get worse, then that is a possibility for you. Chances are, though, is it's just not sitting properly and angled to your ear. And if you could change of battery works with my hearing aid? That is a great question. These are all good. So it could be in your instruction manual. You might be able to find that information. If you have an instruction manual that is generic, so there's several different models that get that one manual, then they'll probably just tell you all kinds of different ones that you can use, but there's really only one for your hearing aid. The good news is only one size of battery will fit in your hearing aid. So if you have the wrong size, it's not going to fit. You can't force or jam a battery that doesn't fit your hearing aid into your hearing aid. You also can't use one that's too small because it's just going to fall out. So how you know is based on what fits in your ear, or what fits in the hearing aid door, in the battery door. And if you need to know ahead of time because you're purchasing the batteries, then I would refer to the instruction manual to see which style is what size is for yours. If you're looking at a package and you want to know the size, hearing aids have numbers, they have a code. And so for this one here, the brown, they also have a color. So all brown tab batteries have a code of 312. So every hearing aid that takes a 312 battery will have a brown tab on it and will have this number on the packaging. There is yellow tabs, which are size 10s. There are orange tabs, which are size 13s. And then there are blue tabs, which are a very large battery, which is a 675. Those are the most common ones. Okay. So that's an in the ear. That's what I was showing. Let me show it slower. So this is an in the ear, and the button Typically for this style, the volume and the program are two separate buttons. So I'll bring it closer. So the top is the volume and the bottom button is the programs. And they are on either side of the battery door, which is in the middle. So the top button is a little wheel and you just turn the wheel. So towards your nose is louder and towards the back of your head is softer. And the program button to change programs is just a simple tap the button. And each time you hit the button, it will cycle through. So if you have, say, 3 programs, it might go 1, 2, 3, and then cycle back to 1. That's usually how it works with custom hearing aids. So even if you have the smaller size, it'll be the same thing. It'll be a little wheel that's at the top and then the button, which is at the bottom. So there's the button and there's the wheel. So 2 separate things. The wheel does the volume, the button does the programs. For this style, I might as well show you. The button is in the back. You tap the button to change the programs, and volume control, sometimes one hearing aid, one side does volume up and the other side does volume down, or some styles like this, you can see, this volume has it. To go over all of them, but what I can say is if you don't have a special, like you don't have a wireless connection or a Bluetooth device or what's called a telecoil, a dedicated phone program, if you're just using your hearing aid and you want to know how to speak on the phone, the trick is that you have to kind of move the phone up so that it's where the microphones are on your hearing aid. So if you're wearing a hearing aid that goes in here, then you can just put the phone right here and that's fine. But if you're wearing a behind the ear, you actually have to move the phone up a little bit so that the microphones can pick up the sound. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but just play around and move the phone around and see where you get the best sound. If you have a dedicated phone program or you're using another device, then obviously you just want to follow the instructions that come with that. And again, depending on what you have, the instructions might be different. Okay, someone's asking about the drying cup and they're asking if we take this out. And you don't take it out. So let me just go through the parts. This is the cup that actually has the beads and it sits on the bottom. And the white part, faces up. So you just pop it in. And then the white pad, foam pad, goes on top of the cup. So it looks like that. And then the hearing aid itself goes on top of the pad, like that. So no, you don't remove the pad. The only time you would remove the pad is if you are exchanging the beads. So you're disposing of them because they have expired and you're putting a new cup in. So you're putting a new puck is what they call it. So if that, obviously you have to remove it if you're going to do that. I think that is everything for now. So what I'm going to say now is I'm going to sign off for this live session. Again, if you need closed captioning, it will be available once we upload this video to the Facebook page. And I want to thank everybody for spending some time with me today. I hope that it was helpful, and we will be hosting our next one, same place, probably same probably same time, Thursday at 2 next week, where we'll dive into something else interesting about hearing aids. We will post the next topic, and we will let you know ahead of time what it's going to be on. Again, all of our videos are available after the fact to watch if you just need to review, or if the audio cut out, or the visual with the image got blurry and you missed it, or if you got busy and you had to get up, that's fine too. You can watch it after the fact. Please continue to drop us a line if you have a question, and we will do our best to answer those questions for you. Once again, I'm Jillian Price, Chief Audiologist with Hearing Life Canada, and I do appreciate your time today. Thanks very much for joining me, and we will see you next time. Take care.